Hello, coders! I'm back! Hello, hello, hello. It's been so long. It's been 2 weeks. 2 weeks. There's been a lot of things I've missed. Podcasts. I've missed live streams, obviously. Probably about 6 of them. And obviously the YouTube videos. But I'm back. I'm back. And I'm raring to go. So, a couple of things, because, 2 weeks, there's been a few things to discuss. First of all, let's get into the most important stuff. Thank you very much, DMP TV and UT. I think is that 2,000 or 20,000? I can't really see my eyes. Thank you very much for following, and also thank you very much for Turnid and King Melon Live for subscribing for 5 months on Twitch Prime. Thank you very, very much. Going down the list here, wow, there's loads. Thank you very much, Few Kalinin, I think that's right, and Zeldy. I'm just saying noise is coming out of my mouth. Payskin, the live coders, oh sweet. Front End Nexus as well, and Windy Mindy. Thank you very much, everybody, for following. I do appreciate that. That's wonderful. So nice to come and see all that. Brilliant. If I haven't mentioned your name, I do apologize. That's what I have in the list. I don't know if Twitch keeps a backlog of the activity feed past a week or so. So I do apologize if I haven't said your name. So I've been away. We've had, unfortunately, a family bereavement in the family. So I have taken some time off. I took 2 weeks off, and I certainly recommend that if anybody goes through the same thing, they do too, especially during these crazy times. So that's why I was away, but I'm back now. And what I'm going to do is push on with the schedule that we have, which is How to Code Well website build this morning. On Thursday evening, we have the second code school, which is awesome. I'm going to be teaching HTML forms, okay, which is brilliant. That's at 9 o'clock on Thursday evening. And Sunday, we're going to do what we should have done last Sunday, which was evaluate the code challenges for March. And those code challenges are building a game in JavaScript. Woo! So there's a lot. There is a lot. Also, you may have noticed that on the title, it says Web Developer for Hire. That is because I'm for hire. So, due to the big C, due to the virus that's happening, unfortunately, one of the clients had to, let me go for reasons beyond their control.
Hello, coders.
So I'm for hire. Hello. Oh gosh, your name, Mint. Is it Mitz Rock? Mitz Rock. Hello. Thank you very much for following. Hello, hello, hello. I do appreciate it. So yes, I'm for hire, and if you would like a web developer to join your team, then please do get in touch on all the various mediums. So that would be awesome. Murphy needs some food. So what we're going to get on with today is we're going to work through some bits and pieces to do with the How to Code Well website, the .NET website. We're building the new one at the moment, and the new one has a series of microservices behind it. It's certainly not live. It's using Docker, it's using Symfony, it's using all the great stuff, whereas the current one is not using so much great stuff, shall we say. And it's a complete change look and feel of it as well. Now, I've done an awful lot of stuff recently on the laptop in the evenings and the weekends to build the staging server for this to go on. And I've done an awful lot of tweaks and fixes and changes around. If I go into the code now, if I can find the button. God, it's been so long. Where's the button gone? There we go. Good. Let me bring this up a little bit so that's not on my head. Okay, so yeah, so a lot of tweaks and fixes to get it up onto the internet, on a staging server. Staging server is going to be probably AWS, but I'm using a tool called Ansible, and I think that's how you pronounce it, and Terraform. Which has been wonderful. It's been a bit of a journey of discovery. It's getting those working. But if I can get my words out, getting it up onto the internet and not just on development, there's been a lot of changes, probably more than I had anticipated on the laptop. And this machine, I've literally just turned it on because this is my streaming box. So I need to get this machine up to scratch. So what I've done here, just show you a blank terminal. If I did docker ps-a, we'll see that there's no containers. So I've deleted all the containers. So what we need to do is rebuild all the images and bring up the containers, and hopefully we'll have something to work on. So that's what I want to achieve today. If I can get that done in the next, say, hour and a half-ish, then that would be amazing. One of the things that I've had to, it's remarkable how many things you just forget to do when you're working in development. As soon as you move it to the internet, moving it onto a staging server, there's a lot of things that just kind of fall out of the tree when you shake it, So one of the things that I was playing with was the gateway. Now the gateway has this, look, it's got the 7 API how to code well. And in here, it has all of these configuration files for each one of the microservices. Now, one thing I forgot to do when I'm working on it locally, because when I was working on it locally, of course, everything was up and running all the time because I had it up and running all the time. But moving it to staging, there's times when things aren't up in the right time. For instance, if you're building, say, what is this, 1, 2, 3, 4 microservices, certain microservices is going to be up more than others, when you deploy them. So this gateway was not coming up because it relied on these. So what I had forgotten to do was put in a resolver. So this resolver, this is actually going to the internal Docker IP. And essentially what it does is it allows you to bring up services or have things in the gateway that isn't actually up. And if it isn't up, then you resolve it to this IP. And if it is up, you then set the upstream. So if I went to, and it took me days to work this through, if we go to, say, one of these, the resource config, here you can see that you've got a setting of a variable. So this is in Nginx, by the way. So you're setting the variable resource upstream to the service. Don't know why I've got it on port 80, but well, it's on port 80, but I don't know why I've defined it there. Anyway, so yeah, the upstream then becomes this when it's ready, which is brilliant. So that's exactly what I mean. And then a proxy pass, so you rewrite the stuff, and then you go into proxy pass, and it does all the crazy stuff. The courses, the errors, the courses, the queue, and the users all follow that pattern as well, which is brilliant. Also, what I was finding was when I was spinning up the front end, which, by the way, is in Gatsby, it was doing a build, pulling down all the bits and pieces from, say, the courses and the resources and even the users section. But when I had errors on these particular microservices, what was happening was I was getting 502 gateway timeouts. Or not timeouts, 502 gateway, bad gateways. And that would throw an error, and that error would be in HTML. So Gatsby was like, what do you want me to do with this HTML? It was supposed to be JSON. So what I did to get around that is I added this errors.conf down here. So errors.conf is finding the HTML, the say 502 for instance, and then returning specific a specific content body here as JSON. So now my Gatsby stuff can actually just think it knows it's JSON, application type JSON. That's what I've put in the headers. So, like I said, there's all sorts of little nooks and crannies that you find when you start, moving up to staging. And of course, that's what I want to do. I want to put this onto staging. We will talk about putting it up to staging probably next week in more detail. I'll actually show you, I'll demonstrate how to do that through Terraform and Ansible. I think it's quite involved. So what I wanted to do today is build all of these things, because all of these things have changed. So let's start with the gateway. So if I did an ls here, we should have the gateway here, like so. Let's go into there, gateway. Now I've also got this all running off of the development branch as well, which means that it's actually running on the Mac Mini, the Jenkins behind as well, which is good. Okay, so Docker. Let's build this up. Docker compose, and fingers crossed it all works. Up -d and then -- build. The mode variable is not set. I knew these things would fail. Could not find env file. Okay, yes, that's because I haven't set one, have I? env. So dev, staging, and test. What am I after here? This is where I have to open up my laptop and have a look. Bear with me a minute. Two seconds. Gateway. There we go. Aha. Okay. What I need to do is put in a mode for yeah. New file .env, and the mode here is going to be dev. There we go. Okay, let's bring this back up. Oh yes, right. So another thing, another thing that I had to do was I had to declare the network external because there's multiple Docker containers accessing this network. So I need to create the network first. What I'm going to do though is I'm just going to do Docker network, and it is how to code well. There we go. We can see it there. So Docker network create, and then how to code well. So I think there's going to be a ton of these little niggles that I have to work through today. So that will create the network. Then we should be able to build it. Yes, we're building it all now. The mode, by the way, because I've set it to dev, will pick up the nginx dev.conf, and it will run all of this stuff, which is fine. Staging.conf will do staging, which is a different address. So that's api.howtocodewell.local, and then that's API staging howtocodewell.net. Now the problem I have with Nginx compared to Apache, because I would like to move everything to Nginx. However, there is something that I'm kicking and screaming about in that transition, is that I can't find a way yet to pass in environment variables into Nginx. And I've had a look on the Googles, and there's a bunch of hacks and stuff that you got to do, which I'm not overly happy with. So, and with Apache, you just supply it some environment variables and off it goes. Anyway, grumble. So let's do docker ps-a, and it's up and running. Woohoo! Okay, that's one down. So let's move on to the next one. So let's go over to PHP Storm. Let's have a look at the e-learning service. Okay, so the e-learning service is here. We can see this is all the Jenkins stuff that we were playing with. We're going to do because I think I may have changed this a little bit. Let's do a git repository poll. Anything changed from here? 3 files, 6 commits. Let's go and view those commits. So fixing network, added staging, attempting to fix command. Ha! Oh, my git messages are amazing. Oh, good. Oh, that's embarrassing. So I guess what I've done is I've changed this, haven't I? So how to code well is now set to external. That's correct. That looks good to me. So let's build that up. So let's come out of here. I think, is it in services? Maybe? Yes, CD into services. Hello, Tyranid. Thank you very much for joining. Hope you're well. Hope you're well. And thank you very much. Thank you. It's great to be back. It's great to be back. Let's go into system here. Nope, can't find it. I am in system. Today's going to be one of those days. I need services. That's what I need. Now, what am I looking for? I'm not even in the right place. That's what I need to go into e-learning set. I need to sort these folders out. This folder structure is terrible. Let's clear that down. Right. Docker, compose, build, up -d. Up we go. Good. Hopefully my tea isn't getting cold. And I think it's very good that throughout a project like this, you would tear it all down and then bring it all back up again. You just gotta kick the dust up, don't you, and see what is actually working or what isn't working. It's incredible how many times we as developers put in little hacks and we don't perhaps commit them, or we forget that they're in .env files or what have you, and then when you go and move to another machine, all of these things start rearing their ugly heads. Do they talk back to you? That is the thing. That's the thing. Tyranid is saying I'm starting to talk to plants, but yeah, I'm fine. It's when they start talking back to you and you have a full-blown conversation. I do this with Murphy, you know. Yeah, it is a bit sort of crawling the walls. What a weird time. What a bizarre time. Okay, good. Docker ps-a. Woohoo! Excellent. Now, obviously, I need to build all the bits and pieces. So let's do Docker compose. And, oh, I just noticed you can't see this on the stream. Oh, that's silly. Let's bring that up a little bit. There we go. Sorry about that. Docker exec, we're going to do hyphen... shall we do that? No, we won't. So exec, we'll do course API, and it is composer install. And I'm hoping everything's going to be fine. I mean, I did this on AWS the other day, and it's just the little things, right? It's little things. Like, for instance, I did it on the AWS the other day, and I forgot that I needed to commit the composer.log file. It's just little things like that that you just sort of... Ugh. It's like, why doesn't it work? It works on my machine. And then you go, oh, yeah. Okay, so that's all gone through. What happens is, of course, because I've built this before, it's bind mounting the directories in, so that's cool. Another thing I need to do in here, though, is I need to run db. I believe it's update db. It's not db, is it? It's bin. Sorry, beg your pardon. It's bin db bin update db. There we go. .sh. No. That didn't work, did it? All right, let's go in as bash. Let me have a little investigation. ls of bin. DB update. Oh, I've called it. I've called it the wrong thing. It's not right. It's supposed to be DB update, not update DB. Now, okay, good. Okay, excellent. So let's move on to the next service. Let's go to what else do we need to play with? We need to play with the resource API. Now, where does the resource API live? That would be API resource, I think. Let me just see if I haven't... Oops. I thought I was putting these all in services, you know, but perhaps not. I do need to just tidy up all of this. I mean, it doesn't matter from the point of view of the Docker at all, but from my own sanity... Alright, so we should have a Docker file in there, which we don't, which is confusing. So I'm going to go and open this up in here. We do have a... Hang on a minute. Am I looking at the wrong thing? System API oh, that's API response. I can't even read my own writing. It's API response. Sorry, beg your pardon. It's resource API. That's what I need. Okay, good. Right. Okay, so we're running off of the develop branch. That's good. Let's see if we can do a git pull. I could have done this on the command line, but hey ho. Pull this down. Come on. There we go. 6 files updated, 4 commits. Let's have a look. Let's see my crazy commit messages. Upgrading Symfony, adding zip and unzip, adjusting gateway. Oh yeah, this was a thing that I kept screwing around with. So it didn't like it when I put it on AWS that zip and unzip wasn't installed. And I think what was happening, of course, was that because I had it installed on my machine, it would just be alright. It would be, but yeah. Anyway, or I think because the composer vendor file was already in my cache, it would just sort of bypass it, the need to actually download it from a zip. And of course, again, all of these things shake out of the tree when you start moving it over to a staging server. Okay, so Docker compose up -d build building resource API. Now, okay, good. So yeah, probably next week I'll go through Terraform and Ansible. I think there's some little bits and pieces that I need to sort of tidy up before I demonstrate it. I must caveat everything by saying I know enough for what I've done. Like, I'm sure there's plenty of mistakes I've made, and there's plenty of more things that I need to learn. But it's so good. It's so nice because it's infrastructure as code, which means that you code the infrastructure. You know, you define what the EC2 instances should be, you define what the security groups are, you define the S3 buckets and their policies in code. And the code is actually extremely readable. It's extremely readable for Terraform, at least. And Ansible uses YAML, and when you've got a massive YAML file, it is a bit of a headache, especially when you've got your indentations are incorrect, that becomes quite problematic. But Terraform is a wonderful piece of code to write. And you can do so much with so little, which is fantastic with Terraform. Okay, so that's been built. So I need to jump onto the box. I can't remember what the containers are called. Let's do a cat of Docker Compose. It was just resource API. There we go. So can we do a reverse search here? Because I'm lazy. It was Composer. There we go. And we just change this to be resource. There we go. Yeah, so the Terraform, yeah, it's great because you feel like you're detached from the actual infrastructure, which means that you can port it over to other infrastructure. Say, for instance, if you wanted to go to Linode or DigitalOcean or somewhere else, you could do so by just tweaking bits and pieces. And with a programming language, you have the opportunity to put in environment variables or just variables, which means that you can actually configure it. You can abstract things out. So, which is good. The thing is, I definitely need to get this on a staging box, definitely, before I even consider putting it up to production. But one of the things that I want to try and do more of is to only have servers running if they actually need to be running, right? So there's no need, for instance, for a staging server to be on when I'm asleep, because I'm not going to be using it. And the purpose of a staging server is for me to run my own UAT, user agreed testing, and to run, say, performance testing, and just basically give it an eyes-on look to make sure that everything is doing what it should be doing before I consider pushing it up to production. So those things, I only really need it. I only really need it when I need it. I don't need it all the time. I know companies that have staging servers on all the time, which I think is daft, to be honest, half the time. It takes about 5 minutes, 5-6 minutes for all of the infrastructure to come online. So I'm more than happy to wait for 5 minutes for servers to be built, all the containers to run, all of this stuff to build, for me to do some testing, from it then to do Terraform destroys all the bits and pieces, and there you go. You know that once you've ran that command, you are no longer paying for it. Okay, so that's working. I think I also need to do the database as well. So we do bin. It was db-update. .sh and Ansible. So oops, I can't spell update. So Ansible is configuration. So you're defining how to configure servers and infrastructure, whereas the Terraform is more about orchestration. So it's how you orchestrate servers and infrastructure. Yeah, that's very true. That's very true, Tyrannid. Sometimes a staging server is used by clients to view, check stuff on the site, and clients tend to look at sites at very strange times. Very, very true. With this project, though, I am the client. So I'm the client. I'm the developer. So the staging site only really needs to be on when I'm conscious. And looking at it. Good. So that's that. What else do we need to do? We've done. Oh yes, we need to do the user service, don't we? Now I believe this is in services. God, my terrible use of it is terrible use of nested folders. User service. Gosh, there's another one. Look, user service. ls. Okay, So it's not green, it's yellow. Let's have a look why. Oh, ooh, ooh. So I hacked around with this, haven't I? I've hacked around with this and I haven't committed it. See, this is naughty, naughty, naughty. I should remember to commit my work. Let's do a diff. What have I changed? What have I changed? Just do local history, that'll do. What have I changed? The database. So, one difference, user DB. It's not even called DB there. Ridiculous. And on here, I don't think we need to worry too much about test. Alright, what I'll do, because I know it works on the develop branch, I'm going to do a rollback of... Oh gosh, there's more. There's the API suite as well. And the console. Yeah, what I'll do, I'll roll it back. And then I will do a git repository pull. Because I know it works, because I ran it last night. He says. Okay, here we go. Changing the network. And adding zip. So this is still UserDB, and that is still UserDB, and that is the network here. So yeah, that all works. That should be fine. Okay, let's give this a run through. Again, why is that not? Yeah, now it's back to green. Woohoo! So when in Z shell, oh my Z shell, if that's yellow, it means that you've got changes, that are uncommitted changes. And if it's green, it means you're all good. Right, let's do a up-build again. Oh, no. Up-build in here. Here we go. -D, there we go. Let's build those things. Sorry, smashed my microphone stand with my drink. So on Thursday night, we're doing Code School. We're doing Code School on Thursday night, and we're going to be looking at HTML forms. Kind of a staple of learning HTML, I think. HTML forms. We're going to build a form with various inputs, and I'll be talking about possibly validation. Within the actual input themselves, how to actually construct a proper HTML form. It'll be good. So if you're completely new to coding, or you just want a refresher, then come and check it out. Code School, Thursday night at 9 p.m. GMT, 2100 hours GMT. And then we're doing let's bring this down here so I can see it on the screen. We're doing on Sunday, we're doing the code challenge review. Now there's been a lot of interest with this, which is brilliant. So it's going to be a bit of a long stream, I think, on Sunday. Some amazing entries coming in on the Code School. On the code challenges. So I'm really looking forward to. I haven't built any yet on my box, so I'm gonna spend probably Saturday afternoon doing that. So you've got until Saturday essentially to do this. I'll put this in the chat. Do this challenge, and what I do is I will review it. I will review it on live on Twitch and then push it up to the YouTube channel. So. I'll go through it whilst we're building that. So building a fighting game, part 1. So you build a table. So it's all set up into different levels. So level 1, build a table. Level 2, populate the table with various characters, with various strengths and health and stuff like that. Level 3, each row should have a different background color. Each type should have a different image. Add 3 buttons for delete, increase health, and decrease health. Level 4 is a roll the dice button. And level master is to do it without any frameworks. And this will set the foundations for the April Code Challenge. Because the April Code Challenge will be using this that you've built. And I'll be reviewing it all on Sunday. Okay, that's built. Awesome. So let's do a, well, first of all, let's do a Docker PS to make sure it's up and running. Which it is. It's all good. I'm looking down this column here for a status to make sure that they are up and running. So we need to do a composer install, and it is, I believe, the user API. Okay, the lock file is not up to date with the latest changes in composer.json. You may be getting outdated dependencies. It is recommended that you run composer update or composer update package. Oh dear.
I don't understand. I found something else. Do you want to know how do I update dependency in composer?
Hey Google, stop. Sorry about that. She's a keen bean. Google. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is do Docker Composer, and we're going to do update, and then we're going to do dry -run to see what needs to be changed. Hopefully, not a lot. Shouldn't touch your face. Nope. I need to, like, sort of do something with my hands. And then the more I think about it, the more I'm touching my face, which is annoying. Oh, there's quite a lot here. There's quite a lot. So maybe we'll wait for this. Wait to do this another day, because that's an awful lot of change. Let's see if we can just get this. Let's get the DB script up and running. Let's get that running at least. Permission denied. Really? What's wrong with this? This is not what okay. What's going on there? ls it's there, but we don't have permission for it. chmod plus ux. So the user has executable rights, so we should be able to do that. I might have to do up again without the build. There's no need for that. Let me just cat the Docker Compose a minute. So we are. Are we? We're not, are we? We're not actually bind mounting this. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Methinks there is something I need to commit on the laptop. Bear with me a second whilst I have a little noodle. Yep. Sorry about that. There was uncommitted changes on my laptop. There we go. Oh. Please. Oh. Hang on. Ay. There we go. Updates. Right. I'm hoping, yes, we've put a bind mount in there. Awesome. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do docker compose down -v. -v will remove all the volumes for this particular service. Not all of the volumes, of course, that would be silly. There we go. And then it will know that the network is external, and so it will skip it. So what I need to do then is I need to do a build. And because of the bind mount will be applied afterwards. So we do a copy and then we do a bind mount. Now this brings me onto a very interesting topic, something that I was debating with myself on the whole deployment side of things. Because ideally what I would, I mean the really, I guess the thing that I would really like to push for is to have a Docker image and have everything in the Docker image and have that image as a production ready image and tag that image with a build number. That would be amazing. Trouble is, for that to happen, you need to have a lot of space, a lot of disk space, because you're creating an image for each one. You have to be very careful with how you construct your Docker images, and also you really need to have you need somewhere to store the images. Now I can't store these on Docker Hub because these aren't public images, which means that I need to have my own Docker registry. So I started to build one, and I had it working. However, I did get into some hot water with SSL certificates, and I was almost getting it to a point where it was all working, and I was able to log into it, and it was all hunky dory and fine. And I had it running on the Mac Mini. But then it came to the point of trying to get it onto staging, and I was having all sorts of difficulty with that, communicating from AWS back to the Mac Mini here. And then I was thinking, well, why don't I put it on to why don't I actually put it onto staging, have its own dedicated Docker registry on there. But again, you would have to have that up all the time. You could store the images, the actual physical files, in S3, which is fine, which is okay. So then what I've done, I just decided to put a pin in it, to be honest. My head wasn't in the right place when I was having a look at it. So when it goes to staging, it's running all of these scripts, doing all of these things, and it can be a little flaky at times because there's a lot of moving parts. Whereas if you just had an image and you put everything in an image and you deployed that image and then you just ran that image, passing in a couple of configuration rules, but everything was in that image, then that would be so much better, so much better than it currently is. So I'm still trying to think about that. Okay, so that's now been created. So let's do a composer. Well, let's make sure it is running, which it is, and let's do a composer, and it is install. And also, there's different things that you do. God, the log's file is still saying log file is not right. Interesting. Let's do a... Oh, I have to wait for that to run. So yeah, it's the moving it from your development environment off to staging and then off to production. There's so much involved with this. There's a lot of DevOps, which I'm fine with. I'm happy to do. I'm learning all sorts of stuff with it. But it's like a whole new world, It's a whole different world. It's a whole different world to just sitting and coding and getting something functionally working. You're actually now configuring hardware, essentially, to do things, or virtual hardware to do things and to have things installed. And it's not easy. It isn't easy at all. All right. I'm going to just run the update again. I'm just going to see... update... dry run, because I just want to see what is... if anything has changed. Probably not. It's probably still a mountain of things that I need to do. It's weird though, because the lock file here seems okay on the laptop, so odd. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. That's it. Let's do it. Let's do it. What's the harm? I'll either not commit it if it doesn't work or commit if it does. There's tests as well for this that I can run. Yeah. So it's been an interesting journey of discovery, trying to work out how to get this onto staging. It's been more complicated than I thought, and also the front end as well. So the front end is in Gatsby, which is a static site, which means that I can just move that to that folder, that public folder, anywhere I want, which is wonderful. It's one of the reasons why I chose to go down the static site route. However, where that gets deployed is a bit of a question mark. I mean, one thing I could do is deploy it onto on Netlify. The trouble there is that Netlify gives you the opportunity to configure the website in greater granularity if you purchase the ability to do so. And I'm trying to do this on a shoestring. So, and there's some things that I want to play with in terms of updating the Nginx web server for things like caching and other bits and pieces. And I really want to get into the granular controls of all of that. Plus, I need to see the logs. So I need to have proper access to all of these things. Which means potentially that I need to do this in a Docker image, the actual front end in a Docker image, or have Nginx running or Apache running as a Docker as a Docker container, and then bind mount the public folder in. So that's another piece of the puzzle. Another piece of the puzzle. My tea has gone very cold. I'm going to have to grab another one in a minute. Okay, so that's gone up. And we're going to run the database now. So db update. There we go. All good things. All good things. Okay, I'm going to just pop off and grab a cup of tea. I will be back very, very shortly. I will see you very soon. Okay, so where's the button gone? There we go. Okay, so what we're going to do now, because we've built all that, and we should have docker ps-a, that all running, which is good. The next piece of the puzzle is to get the front end to run. So the front end is like I said, it's in Gatsby. So let me just make sure I've committed all those things. I was working on this late last night. Oops. Sorry about that. What am I looking for? There we go. Yeah, new window. Come on. Yeah, looks good to me. Okay. So let's come out of this. And come out of that. And come out of that. I think it's in Portal. It certainly is. No, it isn't. Come out of that. There we go. Okay, so what we need to do, get this running off of PHP Storm here. There we go. Okay, so that's running off of master. What I need to do is do a git fetch. And that should bring develop into play. Fetch. Yeah, I've also been thinking about like Git and how I can segregate the branches. So master, I'm thinking, is production. Develop, I'm thinking, is staging, and then my own particular branches. I think that's probably the cleanest way to go about it, I think. Okay, so I need to jump into develop. There we go. Check out as develop. Brilliant. Okay, so the things that have changed here, we've got a Docker Compose file. And we've also got the Docker file here, which is just putting everything into public in there, which is fine. If we go to the gateway, and we go into dev.conf, do we have I put that in? I haven't. Is it in staging though? No. Okay, that's interesting. Bear with me a minute whilst I have a look at that. Okay. Yep. Alright, so what I need to do is I need to go back into Gateway. I need to pull down these changes, because these changes will give me, hopefully, are we still, yeah, still pulling it down. Okay, yes, they'll give me port 80, and also it should give me how to code well.local, the front end, which is portal.80 on port 80. Right, so what I need to do is I need to actually go into the gateway, which is system gateway, and I need to do a docker compose up. Yeah, build. Bind address is already in use. Jeez. Is this because I've got something running on the box? We're looking at port 80. Let's get that down because that's going to bug the hell out of me. No, we're okay on here, but I've got a feeling I've got something running on localhost anyway. So what I could do is just modify this to be port 80, 82, 81. Nothing's on running off of port 81 yet, is there? No. And then on here, change this to be, oh yeah, 80, 81. Damn. 8081 is going to okay, 82 perhaps. All right, let's see if we can get that up. Yeah. Oops. So we should now have yeah, 80, 81, 80, 82 into the gateway. So that's going to go to port 80. That's going to go to the API, and then this is set up for HTTPS, which is something that I am working on to get running, probably through Let's Encrypt. All right. Good. So let's go back to the portal. Okay, now I need to do a Gatsby develop. Have I pulled this down? I think I have. Yeah. All right. So we need to do a Gatsby develop first, just to make sure that it all runs correctly through. Which is good. So yeah, this is running off of the local APIs here on port 8081. So this is going through the gateway. Yep, that's all built and running. So if I was to run this now, that's all good. That was like, if that didn't work, then it would be back to the drawing board for me. So let's have a look at this. There we go. Let's bring this down a little bit. So this is the site that I am building. So this is now coming through, this is running off of localhost directly against Gatsby. So the next piece of the puzzle is to get this to actually run in the Docker container. So to do this, what you need to do is just to come out of that, so it's not running at all. We need to do Docker build. We need to do Gatsby build. And the reason being is that when you do it in develop mode, you're in sort of hot reloading mode. It's not production ready, so we need to do that. And I just want to double check. Yeah, it should be okay. And then that puts it into public, and then you can then copy that public folder over to there. And then with the Docker compose file, we're then exposing. Yeah, there we go, and then it goes up. I think that's okay. Let's just give it a go. Why not? Gatsby build. Normally you would do serve after build. If you had Node and Gatsby installed in production, then you would do Gatsby build and Gatsby serve. However, I don't want Gatsby in production. And I was playing with an awful lot of fixes late last night, because some things that happen during server-side rendering, which don't happen in develop mode. So it does take a little bit of time. So I'm glad I've got my cup of tea. Come on. Another thing that I need to play with is there was an incident where I was doing this, and for some reason, I don't know why, but the Ghost CMS was down, or was just temporarily unavailable. And so it did this and then just failed because it couldn't get to it timed out. So I need to put in some almost little checks, I think, to ensure that things are running, status checks, during this, and have a way of see. I mean, this here, it's timed out, and have a way of ensuring that the site doesn't just fall over just because the blog is down. Okay. So let's just update that first of all. Hang on. Copy that. Okay, so this looks... this 205, that looks like it's coming from the... Yeah, that does actually look like it's the IP address for the actual Ghost CMS. Let me just quickly have a look and see if that's running. How to go well.net / or port. Is the actual website down? That would be... Yeah, it's down. That'll be why. Okay. Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to... bear with me a second. Let's bring this down here. I'm gonna have to tinker with it. Let's see if I can do it over here. I might have to do it on my laptop. Yikes. Well, that's weird because I can SSH to the box and I can see that all the Docker containers are running. So maybe there's a problem with the DNS. How strange. That is very weird. Is it back up? No. Oh dear. No, let's do it from... There we go. So that's back up. Let's see if we can get this to run again. The fact that it was running, this is, yeah, so it is the fact that it was actually pulling from the, come on Pete, get your words out, from the blog. If I went to blog here, oh no, oh, of course I've taken it down, haven't I? Silly me, I've actually taken the localhost stuff off. That's a shame. Where's my window gone? Here we go. So where did it fail? It failed at this point here on success pre-bootstrap. We have run queries here, done, doing the fallback. Okay, so now that worked. Wonderful. Okay, Sorry about that. The whole site went down. I had to jump on the box quickly and fix it. But that's what I do. I break things and fix things. So, okay, so that's back. And that's been built. Hello, Murphy. Good afternoon. So that would have gone into public directory and built. Let me just shut my door. Bear with me a minute. He's very good at opening doors, but not great at shutting them. My dog. Cool. So let's see if we can get a Docker compose. I mean, technically, I should be able to go to. Why did it do that? I should be able to run this directly from the browser, but I want to do this in. I want to do this in a Docker container. That whole website is so flaky. I need to. Once this gets replaced with this, it's going to be so much easier to work with, I think. Murphy doesn't know what time of day it is. He just knows that every time of day it's playtime. I can't remember what it was like not to have Murphy jump on me in the morning. I can't remember what that was like. For him not to, I should say. For me to wake up nicely without any kind of, interruption. There's usually a dog involved, and it's usually either a licking in the ear or chewing on my toes. There's an element of grossness and an element of pain as he jumps. He jumps off of the bed, and then he jumps back on the bed, but in greater force, landing on you. I'm up, and you need to be up. It doesn't matter what time it is. I don't have a watch. Excellent, so that's now running. Let's do a docker ps-a. I've gone and... Whoa. Running in the wrong tab here. There we go, docker ps-a. So we should have the portal running here. It should be running against port 80, which means that we should here have the gateway. We should be able to do gateway 8082 running off of here. And if I've configured it all up rightly and wired it all up nice, if we go over to the gateway, if I ran howtocodewell.local on port 8082, that should then proxy it into the front end, going into the portal on port 80. Fingers crossed. How to code well local. Yes, there we go. Hang on, let me just get rid of all of these emergency tabs that I have running. Let's bring this up. There we go. This is running against that that Docker container that we've just created for the portal. This is Gatsby in there, the static site in there, and it was built and it was running against all the various bits and bobs. So howtocodewell.local is now my local staging in effect, I guess. So this would be staging.howtocodewell.net. Okay, so let's have a little click about, shall we? So if we go over to, say, courses, you can see the courses here, and that brings up, yeah, that's cool. I need to fix this. This really needs to be that height. I need to work on that. So there's a lot of visual changes for this. Let's go over to resources. There we go. All the resources are in. That's brilliant. Wonderful news. Let's see now. Let's go to blog. So, yep. Now, this isn't touching upon Ghost whatsoever now, because it's all being built. It's all being built statically. So all of this is now within that Docker container. So really, if I wanted to push this live, I would just need to push that Docker container, this up, because it's not all now self-contained. However, of course, there are various user interaction pieces that I need. So there will be obviously containers that are running up in the cloud somewhere. There'll be the auth service, the user service, the e-learning service. And then obviously there'll be the services for taking orders and other bits and pieces. So there'll be quite a bit of infrastructure running behind this. But I'm pretty impressed with it. I mean, I'm not massively a big fan of the design, really. I mean, it's a step ahead of where it is at the moment on the current howtocodewell.net site. But as I've mentioned, the design is something that can be tweaked and changed, as this goes. And I'll probably give it to a designer to have a look at, because I'm not a designer myself. I just put things together. So that's good. Resources. Can I click on these things? Do these work? No, these don't work. So I think the next thing, equal heights. Yes, definitely. So I think that, excuse me. I think the next thing for me is to get this up on staging. I know that it can go on staging because I've just done a sort of a run through of how that would work here. Locally, and then I'm going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb and pick up bugs and write those bugs down in the Jira, and then just go through them one by one. I think that's probably the best thing. So, for example, these links here don't work. Now, one could argue, well, let's get rid of these links, and just have a grid of books. So I need to make a judgment call as to whether or not these things actually warrant being done for the MVP. So going back to that minimum viable product. There's certainly things that do need to happen. For example, definitely we need to do the login features, and we definitely need to do the courses. We need to have all the courses running. There's 16 of them. We've only got 3 here, and we do certainly need to tidy this up. Tidy that up as well. I want this on one line if possible. Yeah, so there's a lot to tinker with and change, and then here we need to put in some copy for the actual course itself. So there's a little bit of actually writing content for this to go through, and also I need to make sure that the code is available if it is available. Yeah. So this isn't running yet from a content management system. This is just running off of the scripts that populate the database, and then what happens is the Gatsby build hits the API and then gets all the JSON and builds all the pages. So there's 16 courses, and each course usually has between, say, 3 and 15 tutorials. There's some courses I know that have 20 odd. So there's an awful lot of content that needs to be actually created. So it would be easier if there was a CMS behind this. However, I don't have time. I don't have the luxury of time to build. Well, I might do. I don't have by by next week I probably won't have a job. So there might be time to do that. But I want to focus more about the front end. So if I can get away with writing some scripts to populate these things rather than have fancy content management systems, I think that can come later on. God, it's like a big gappy tooth, isn't it? I think what needs to happen here is this needs to be in a row, right? That needs to be in a row. But I think, if I remember rightly, I've got this to be responsive to a degree. There needs to be a margin between the two there. And oh my gosh, look at that. That needs to be fixed. Yes, a lot of issues here. A lot of issues. But I've been fiddling mostly at the moment with the back end rather than the front. Let's just see. Does this... Yes, okay, that is required. So that's white. That shouldn't be white. You know, white required. If I go to login here and do login, that's pink. So there's some... And it's above, whereas that's below. So you can see there are these little niggles. Little niggles. So yeah, once I get the... once I get that running... Once I have it on the staging site... then I'm going to use that as the basis to go through and have a look at the bugs. Tyrion is saying max height on the right box with a scroll bar. Yeah, that does sound like a good solution. So max height on the right box with a scroll bar. Yeah, so there is this scroll bar here. So there is some form of intelligence going on with the scroll bar, but the height needs to be set, I believe. Yeah. Okay, it's 8:29. I think what I'm gonna do is I do have work to do. It's only this week, but I do have some work to do. So I will be. I'll shoot off in a minute and do that. I'll just grab my tea. But I want to leave you with things. So I want to leave you with some links. Let's have a look at... Where's my notes? There we go. Okay. So probably about 3 weeks ago, we did a code school. And what I've done is I've put it up on the YouTube channel. On the live, not the main channel, but the live channel. So this is the code school that we did. I was teaching HTML, and we've got another one on Thursday evening at 9 p.m. GMT, 2100 hours GMT, and I'll be going through HTML forms. So if you want to go through the last one, the first one, which was HTML, that's up there now. Thank you very much. No space for me. Thank you very much for following. I do appreciate that. That's very kind of you. The How to Code Well Live YouTube channel is something that I haven't really pushed, but I'll do it now. And that is this here. Now, YouTube, when YouTube sees a channel that doesn't have 100 subscribers, it creates this god-awful channel name. And mine is UCD blah 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 blah. So when that gets to 100 subscribers, I will be calling that How to Code Well Live. And of course there is the main channel, which is How to Code Well itself. And that channel is, we'll put in, the difference there is that has the podcast, plus it has the clean tutorials, in the sense of it's not live, it's just it's more of a teaching piece. So yeah, and of course Tyrion had quite rightly mentioned the Discord channel as well. So if you've got some coding questions, if you need some coding help, then please do check out the Discord server. Before I go, I want to thank everybody for all of their kind words and support over the last few weeks. It's been wonderful. I've certainly needed it. You've been very, very helpful and supportive, and I want to thank you ever so much for all of that. It's been great. I'm going to dive off. I've got some work that I do need to do, but I am looking for work. So if anybody is interested in a web developer, on their team, then please do get in touch, because I'm coming up to the end of one of my contracts because, unfortunately, of this horrible virus that we're dealing with. So there we go. Happy coding, everybody. Thank you ever so much for joining, and I do appreciate it. Please stay healthy and please stay safe. I will be seeing you this Thursday at 2100 hours GMT for the next coding school. See you soon. Cheers. Bye-bye. Happy coding, everyone.